Hello everyone. Previously we looked at how reuteri grow in milk. So today we are going to see how it performs in two commonly used material, half and half and carrot juice. But first I should mention a couple of things. I couldn't find any half and half where I live, so I made my own by mixing whole milk with whipping cream. Even though it's already called a half and half, the commercial product is actually closer to 75% milk and 25% cream. I also couldn't find pure carrot juice because it was sold out, so I brought the carrot apple juice instead. Compared with the mixed fruit juice, it's relatively simple. I know many people make fresh carrot juice themselves, but bottle juice is much cleaner, and since the goal of mine is to study the growth of reuteri, I want to minimize the contamination of other microorganisms so that it will not affect the result. The experimental procedure was the same as last time. I first cultured the reuteri for 48 hours and inoculate it into each test medium and incubate the sample at the 37 degrees Celsius or around like 99 Fahrenheit. At different time point, I collect the sample and perform a CFU count to measure the bacteria load. Originally, I planned to stop the experiment after 72 hours, but for some unexpected reason, I extended to 130 hours. So let's take a look at the what happened. Let's start with the half and half. The initial inoculum was 3.2 times 10 to the power of 4 CFU per milliliter, and after only 12 hours, you can see here the bacteria count had already reached 1 times 10 to the power of 6 CFU per milliliter, which is a level that requires more than 24 hours if culturing milk. Compared with the previous milk experiment, adding cream clearly speed up the bacterial growth. After 24 hours, the count further increased to 3.4 times 10 to the power of 6 CFU, which is higher than the CFU in milk for the same amount of fermentation time. However, by 72 hours, the population has declined to about 1.6 times 10 to the power of 6 CFU, and after 130 hours, it dropped further to around 8 times 10 to the power of 5 CFU per milliliter. This result suggests that adding cream to milk, in other words, make half and half, may facilitate the growth of reuteri. The bacteria grow faster than what they did in milk. However, we observed that the decrease of bacteria count around 72 hours, suggesting that this accelerated growth may also cause the culture to enter the decline phase sooner. What I'm thinking is if you are using half and half for fermentation, it might be better to avoid a long fermentation time. Based on the result here, I think keeping the fermentation within 24 hours may be more ideal. Now let's move on to the carrot apple juice, where it becomes very interesting. The initial inoculum was 3.5 times 10 to the power of 4 CFU per milliliter, and during the first 4 hours, the bacteria population remained relatively stable. However, after 12 hours, the count dropped drastically to 6.4 times 10 to the power of 3 CFU per milliliter. It's only about like 1/5 of the original. This was completely unexpected. Okay, I think they will just grow normally, but no. And at 24 hours, I couldn't detect enough colony to obtain the CFU count. So I guess that the bacteria population had become like too low to detect. So when I sample again at 72 hours, I reduced the dilution factor to just 10. Surprisingly, the result was once again very different from what I expected. At this low dilution, there are actually far more colonies than I expected. The entire play is just a smear, so I cannot count the colony. Because of this, I decided to extend the experiment to 130 hours, and at this final time point, the bacterial count was 1.2 times 10 to the power of 4 CFU per milliliter, so it's only a slight decrease compared to the initial inoculant. Overall, the carrot apple juice show a rather unusual pattern. The initial decline suggests that L. reuteri struggle to survive in this environment. The bottle juice might just provide unfavored condition for the bacteria, so part of the population likely just die in the early fermentation, which explains the sharp drop after 12 hours. It is possible that some bacteria just survive and slowly adapt the environment, leading to that small recovery around 24 to 72 hours. But however, this increase was limited. By the end of 130 hours fermentation, the bacterial population had not increased substantially. Instead, it seems to fluctuate only slightly around a relatively low level. Overall, the results suggest that the bottle juice used in this experiment is probably not a suitable medium for fermentation of L. reuteri. I think these findings are quite interesting. This juice does not contain preservative, but it does went through some process to extend its shelf life. For example, adding citric acid and antioxidants. Therefore, the inhibitory effect we observe might be related to those processes. The juice also has a pH of around 4, which is quite acidic. This could certainly be one reason why bacteria cannot grow well inside. Of course, there may be some other contributing factor as well. So in today's experiments, we test the L. reuteri growth in half and half and bottle juice, and these two medians, give us completely different result. Well, and those results just give us more question for future. Question like if we change the ratio of the cream in half and half, what will happen? Will that promote like faster growth, or is the limit there? Or if we just adjust the pH value of the juice, will it make our bacteria grow better inside? Or like how's homemade freshly made carrot juice compared to the bottled one? Those are all questions that worth investigating in the future, and in fact, I can already think of several experiments I can try in the future. If you want to see me dig into this more in the future, or you have anything that you think I can test in the future, leave a comment down below and let me know, okay? So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.